guys, welcome back to Shenanigans. Today we're going to go ahead and have a little surprise for you. We're going to be brewing our first beer. Woo!
So, I'm not a beer person at all. I don't like beer. I've gone through so many different types of beers trying to find one that I like. I just don't like the taste. Now, I went to a German brewery in Fredericksburg, Texas called Altstadt, and it's really good. I found one beer that I actually liked. So we're going to make a Kolsch. I wanted to go ahead, and this is just a little 1 gallon batch. Everything you need comes in this box except the actual equipment, like the fermentation bucket. We're not using this one. This is just there. I have a little 2 gallon bucket I'm going to use as the primary fermenter, and then a 1 gallon glass of carboy for secondary fermentation and clearing. But I just want to go ahead and open up this box, kind of give you all a look at what it comes with. Everything you need really is going to be in here. You don't need a lot of the equipment that people say you do for brewing. It's more or less just to kind of know where it's at. So we got all the instructions, little kits and stuff. This right here is going to be the ale yeast fermentation. This is the dried malt. We are going to be brewing this. We are going to be putting this in a big pot of water and boiling it. Priming sugar for carbonation. We got our hops right here. We have more dried malt. This is a wheat. The other one was a Pilsen light malt. More hops. And beer bottle caps.
Oh, hey, we needed those.
Yeah. They come with the box. I told you that. It's a little bit different. So one thing that I've noticed that's different between beer and wine.
Oh, it was inspected.
It was inspected. Number 15. Of course, normally when we buy stuff from the store we buy them from, we end up with stuff missing out of it. But beside the point. Beer seems to come with the caps. Wine does not come with the corks. I think they're just assuming that wine people are bougie, so they'll put extra money into buying corks, whereas beer people are like, screw that, I'm going to buy a flip top.
Corks.
I want corks. I want corks with my wine kits. I'm spending more money on that than I am on beer, and they're getting what they need, so that's retarded. Anyways.
We're going to go ahead and take you to our kitchen and get this brewing.
Let's go. Alright, so welcome back. We've boiled it.
It looks disgusting.
It looks pretty gross, but it's beer. It's not a pretty process. So, the instructions explain you need a primary and secondary fermenter. You don't have to have one, but it can help. It'll make it easier to get a clear product. And you know what? I actually need this. So, I'm going to be taking a sample. Now, the reason I want to do this is not because I have to know exactly what the alcohol content is. I don't need to know. I don't actually need to know. The difference is I want to know. So, I already got everything sanitized. This was just dipped in sanitizer. I literally just did this, and honestly, I shouldn't be using it so soon, but whatever. It's mine. I can do what I want with it.
So it didn't reduce by half. It's like a quarter. I think for what we began with, it reduced by like a quarter.
I agree. No, probably like 75%. Or
a quarter?
No.
No?
I'd say a third. I think we might need to add more volume to this.
You see how nasty it looks?
It's definitely not clear.
It's got chunks from, all the hops.
The hops, yeah. Good enough. Alright. Now, it does say that you need, ooh. That's going to all come out later. We just stirred
it up.
That's called the trub. That just sounds gross.
Yeah.
Alright, and I have my hydrometer. So, graduated cylinder, hydrometer, chemistry. Huh?
Do we have a pen in here?
A pen?
Yeah. Because I think you can write it down.
Yeah. It's going to be on video, so we can always look it up later.
Okay. True.
Just trying to get some of the bubbles out because they've the bubbles have collected on the sides. So, whatever.
spin. Yeah. Well, it's so much different than when we start with wine.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have as much sugar, right?
It has less sugar, yeah. Normally. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Okay, so I'm actually going to need to add water to this. This is at 1080. Yeah, this is at 1080. That's a very, very strong beer.
So
we need to add water, which there is a jug of purified water by your feet. I don't know how much, but here's what we're going to do. I'm going to pour that in here first.
Okay. And then just slowly pour for everything.
Well, I'm going to fill this bucket up about halfway at least. All right. I just want to see exactly how much this fills up. Now, it says you should siphon this because you want to avoid getting what they call the trud at the bottom. I'm going to try to avoid getting most of that as I pour this. It's just a lot of the thicker stuff that collects at the bottom. I need this liquid. It has all the sugars and stuff in it. So I'm getting a good amount of that in here, but I'm also going to be getting a lot of it at the bottom.
Just pour it.
Nope.
No.
See how a little bit of that staying behind? Yep, that's what I'm trying to avoid. That's a lot of the hops and stuff.
I think that will be fine.
Yeah, that will be. All right.
So that's
not even halfway. That's why the gravity was 1080. It was a lot stronger. It was more concentrated.
Let's get to the half point.
I'm a little bit more. I'll tell you when it's done.
I think that's good.
Keep going. All right. So, I'm going to stir it up a little bit, take another measurement. But this should probably, we didn't even double it, I don't think, so it should be a little bit higher than the 1040. I'm using this to stir because I left my spoon in there in the kitchen. But this does the job, and I'm going to use it again anyways to get it. Yeah, it looks nasty.
It looks like somebody...
We're definitely cutting that out. Thanks, babe.
That looks a little better.
It's not as concentrated anymore. That's a lot of bubbles. Now, it doesn't matter as much that I'm pouring it right now. A lot of people complain about like oxygen. Your fermentation actually needs oxygen right now. Otherwise, it will not work. Without oxygen, the organisms, the yeast, can't survive. Right at 1040, exactly.
Perfect.
So, that's about what I kind of expected, kind of wanted, so we're good. All right. Very last step. We're going to pitch the yeast. Now, on the yeast package, it tells you to rehydrate.
But the instructions say don't rehydrate.
So,
it's up to you.
Yeast needs to be rehydrated to ferment. It's going to rehydrate in the liquid that we just created for it. Might take a little bit longer if you rehydrate it like this, but the company, thank you, the company that creates the yeast, they're saying, hey, if you want this to work, it needs to be hydrated. They don't know what you're going to use it for. They're going to assume it's for beer, for ale, or whatever, but it literally just says sprinkle on top.
Oh, so, and stir.
What? It says stir?
Yep. It says measure out 1 teaspoon of yeast and sprinkle the yeast over top of the entire work surface and stir well with a sanitized spoon or a ladle. How much is that?
11 grams. One moment. All right. I don't think this is too much, but I've never made beer before. It says the instructions specify 1 teaspoon of yeast. Because I've never done this before, I'm going to follow the instructions directly, or exactly. So this is a little wet. I'm just going to rinse this off by dipping it in there. I already sanitized it, which is why it's wet. So let's just go ahead and measure out 1 teaspoon. Look good. Right? Mm-hmm. All right. Crap, it's all stuck on there. I'm getting it done.
Smells like bread.
Yep. And this is going to go back in here for the next video. Well, on the bright side, I can actually use this to make another beer, which is something that I want to do, but I don't have everything I need for it, so we'll see. I've been watching another YouTube channel that talks about something called a Groot, which is very similar to Groot from Avengers. Or, you know. Anyways, it's an herbal beer. So before they used hops, they used other bittering agents like certain herbs and stuff. So I'm actually going to be trying to make that at some point because I think I don't like the hops. I think that's kind of what I don't like about beer. And so I figured I'll try that. Make like a little 1-gallon batch. And it just uses a lot of different types of like, let's see, cinnamon, cardamom, fennel seed. It's kind of like what they did was a chai tea Groot. So it's like a beer. So you're using barley? Or I think barley is what they used. Anyways, they use some type of starch to make their beer, and then they add chai tea to make it bitter, where the hops are. You know, that's pretty much what the hops do. All right, you are very familiar with these if you've been watching my videos. It's an airlock. This one is a 3-piece airlock. I don't really have a preference. There is a single-piece airlock. Grab that real quick. So these are like 2 different types of airlocks. This is a 3-piece. 1, 2, which fits right in there, and then the lid. Now,
this is just
1 piece. Well, it has 2 pieces technically, the lid. But anyways, the way this works, this has a center chamber, like a tube that goes up, and it goes inside this piece. The air then pushes up, down this chamber, and around through these little holes for allowing the pressure to escape. I'm going to go ahead and use this one. It doesn't really matter which one you use. It's going to work the same. All right. You got the lid?
Yep.
Sweet. All right.
We're
pretty much done.
Go ahead. Put the airlock on. Says it's going to start fermenting in about 24 hours.
I will be expecting that because I am very excited about this. As I mentioned earlier, this is a big deal for me because I don't like beer. I finally found one beer that I really liked, and I'm going to try and make it. So hopefully this turns out well. If it does, I'm going to really start looking into what they call all grain brewing, where you don't use packs of extract. You're using actual grain to extract the sugars from. This is the sugar's already been extracted, and now I'm using that kind of like a cheat. Still the same thing. It's just they've done most of the work for me.
It's nice.
It's very nice. So I am going to set this right over there. Actually, can you move the labels and just set this up on the corner? We're actually going to be making 2 videos today. I'm going to actually make a blueberry pomegranate wine, but that's all for this video. This is pretty much it. Everything you've seen has been a very quick, easy process. It's this type of brewing of beer has been very easy. Not to say all brewing is easy. If you're making your own recipe or doing all grain brewing, that is a lot more complicated because you have to actually boil, or not even, I don't even know if it's boiled, no. You have to essentially cook the barley or oats or whatever you're using for your grain
to get the
sugars out. There's an enzyme in the starch that will start breaking down the structure of the grain itself, allowing the sugar to come out. So that is how you essentially extract the sugar from the grains, if I'm understanding correctly. And I'm new to this, so don't quote me on that. But essentially you turn grains into sugar like that. Then you strain out the grains and you're left with what they call wort, which is what we just poured into the bucket. Must is for wine, wort is for beer. But that is all for today.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. Make sure to like our YouTube videos, like our YouTube. On YouTube, we also have a link to our Facebook. We're posting there. We're going to be posting part of our honeymoon that we just went on.
Yes.
So the road trip that we drove. And it's really beautiful out where we were driving. So thank y'all so much again.
Thank you.
Bye.